This is the story of how I finally found the Fender of my dreams. Hey, I'm Jade, and this is my 2012 American Special Telecaster. Well, I got this in 2020. We had to go back to 2006, 2007. I know I said a 10-year journey, but it started just a little bit before that. It didn't start in earnest until 2010. So in 2006, 2007, I started looking for my first electric guitar. I tried just about every Fender in the stores by my house. See, my uncle was a Fender guy and was really pushing me towards a Mexican Fender. All of that was to no avail. None felt right in the hands, so I ended up walking away with an Epiphone Les Paul, which you can find the whole video about that up here, down below, and at the end. Like I said, my quest for a Fender didn't start in earnest until about 2010. Every time I'd be in a music store, I'd pick one up that was in my budget, a Strat or a Tele. And again, all to no avail. Just none felt like the one. Or they were just hard to play for some reason. The only one that didn't feel that way up until that point was my grade 12 guitar teachers. That one felt right away, and I played it a few times that year. And also my uncle's, but not quite as much. Speaking of my uncle's Tele, it was around 2015 that I borrowed it for a couple weeks. And, well, I got used to it. As soon as I picked up my Les Paul, that would go away, and I almost had to start over with the Tele again. I still want that guitar, though. Sometime between then and 2020, I almost bought a Strat. I'm not sure what year it was, but one of the music stores here had a moving/renovation sale. I can't remember which one, and they had some killer deals. And I went in there and I almost bought a white Strat. It was almost right. I couldn't tell you what it was about it that was just off. Just that little bit, and I don't know what it was. It was just, it felt good, it played well, but it was just not right. And maybe if the store was closer to my house and I had a chance to go in one or two times, again, I may have bought it. In order to understand how I ended up getting my Tele, you got to know a little bit more about me. I'm a photographer with a bad back. And also, a few years leading up to this guitar, I wasn't shooting a lot of long days, but I shot a few. And the next day, every time, my wrist would hurt. And I just thought, oh, you know what? I wasn't used to shooting those hours at that point. And with my back, I was having spasms, so that's when I thought about maybe switching camera systems. But I didn't right away. I held off a little bit. And that's a big part on how I found my Tele. But first we have to get personal. And anyone that knows me can tell you I don't particularly like getting personal. Right before everything shut down in 2020, my Nana died of cancer. Well, she didn't leave anything to me. One of the accounts she left to my mom came through while I was looking at this guitar, and I decided that I was going to buy it. And my mom had just gotten it, and it was just like a little extra, so she gave it to me. And it was the amount that I needed to buy this guitar. This bracelet, actually, on the headstock, was my Nana's. My grandpa gave it to me after she died, and well, it's a bit too big for me, and not quite my style. What better place to have it always around? And she did really kind of end up buying me the guitar. So I guess she did leave something to me. And while she was sick, we had to move a lot of things around at the house. It was then that I noticed that my grip strength was just lacking, or even worse. And I've never been someone who's had an issue moving heavy things. It's usually like, hey, Jade, could you grab that heavy object? So I decided this a few months later, is probably around June. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to strengthen my grip. So I grabbed one of those, grip strengthener things, and after a couple weeks using it, one night, my wrist spasmed while I was using it. It kind of seized. The next morning, I woke up and I had a giant bump on my wrist, and the movement was limited. And that is also why, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, I have a giant scar on my wrist. Arm, I should say. Because of that, I finally decided it was time to switch from Nikon to Fuji. I had a Fuji X Pro 1 that I just carried around everywhere, my backup camera as well. So it was time to make the switch. And I normally, as I would, threw it up on Craigslist. But my mom, like a week before that, had mentioned Facebook Marketplace. I can't remember if I'd heard of Marketplace at that point, but I hadn't been on Facebook in probably 4 or 5 years. And I thought to myself, why not? Let's give it a go. Let's throw the camera up on there as well. Well, it ended up selling through Craigslist. I'd already looked through Marketplace and had continued. And I decided that I wanted a nitro guitar. Not because nitro's better than poly. I don't subscribe to that belief. But kind of because I wanted something that would age. Well, my Les Paul has a few dings. I like a Les Paul looking pristine. Whereas a Fender has a little attitude when it gets a little beat up. And having my Les Paul for 13 years before getting a second electric guitar, the idea of just having that wear and that playing and those dings interested me. It was really the body I was after, so a parts caster it would probably be. There was a few floating around, but not quite right, not at the right price. And finally, in September, this came onto Marketplace. Perfect. It's a 2012 American Special that the guy refinished in nitro. I offered $750. I believe he was asking like $870 or $880, something like that. $870, $880, $890. And I said $750, hoping he would say, will you meet me in the middle? But to my surprise, he said, yeah, I'll take $750. You know, he had a few tellies and was just kind of looking to move on from one. My main thought going into this, having played many, many Fenders, was if after a year I can't quite get along with it, maybe what I'll do, and that was part of my price thought, is I can sell the neck and maybe get like a Warmoth Gibson scale conversion. Maybe it's just the scale length that my hands can't wrap around. And at this point, I had about this much movement in my wrist. It was about this much, and which is funny. So I met with the guy on a bench outside his apartment. He handed me the guitar and I awkwardly played it. And you know, it's kind of awkward. He's there. I'm just kind of like, yeah, it feels good. But as the next day, I really got to play it. I took it out of its case, sat down on the couch, wrapped my arms around it, and finally, after seemingly a lifetime of guitar playing, I finally found a Fender that fit. It was kismet. And I will have this guitar with me for a lifetime. I hope if you've stuck around this far, you will hit that a like and subscribe. And I'd love to know if any of your guitars have found you in the most kismet of ways. A confluence of events that led you to something special. Thanks. Have yourselves a good one.